I thought I was in hell, but the fire was fake. The screams were staged, and the people who sent me here were my own family. The true heiress returns from hell. Because I had repeatedly harmed the fake heiress, I was cast into hell after my death. As I endured the agonizing punishment of endless whipping, pain so unbearable it made me wish for death, a stream of online comments suddenly flashed before my eyes. "This is hilarious. The real heiress actually thinks this place is hell." "Of course she does. Do you know how much money went into building this set? That 3D lava projection alone could fool anyone." "She probably has no idea she was never dead. This whole thing was orchestrated by the fake heiress and her family to teach her a lesson." "A lesson? Please, the fake heiress clearly wants her to actually die here. Tonight, they've even arranged a dream visitation to make the family completely give up on their real daughter." I blinked, thinking the pain had driven me into hallucinations. But the next second, a cold voice sounded from behind me. "Shen Huai Sha, sinner, considering that your family in the mortal world still remembers you, you are granted a special chance to enter their dreams and meet them once. Do you accept or not?"
Chapter 1. A sudden chill ran down my spine. Why did the demon warden's words match those scrolling comments so perfectly? Of course the real heiress wouldn't want to meet them. After all, her family shattered her heart long ago. Not meeting them is exactly what the fake heiress wants. She's just waiting for this chance to fan the flames in front of the Shen family and make them completely give up on their daughter. Look, the fake heiress has already brought the entire Shen family to the surveillance screen. The show's about to begin. The comments surged wildly across my vision. Every word stabbed into my heart like a needle. At 16, my biological parents finally brought me back to the Shen family. By then, there was already a cherished daughter in the house, the fake heiress, Shen Nunu. She treated me like an enemy. Again and again, she set traps for me. I had always been straightforward. Every time I confronted her head-on. But all she had to do was redden her eyes, let her tears fall, and say in a trembling voice, "If that's what my sister says, then it must be true. Please don't blame her. After all, I took her place for 16 years. No matter how she treats me, I deserve it." With just a few simple lines, she nailed crimes I never committed onto me. I burned with rage and argued desperately. But the more I fought back, the colder my parents' and brothers' gazes became. They shielded Shen Nunu carefully while looking at me with open disgust. "Raised in the country, no manners at all. You've suffered, yes, but Nunu is innocent too. Why can't you be more tolerant?" It happened over and over again, until, little by little, my heart went cold. I stopped explaining because it was useless. I stopped resisting because every act of defiance only made them hate me more. I wrapped myself in indifference, pretending not to care. But in their eyes, that only proved I was stubborn, ungrateful, impossible to get close to. In this silent war, Shen Nunu won completely. With the calm arrogance of a victor, she smiled faintly at me. "So what if you are the real heiress? You'll never win against me." The truth was, by then I no longer wanted to win. I only wanted the college entrance exams to end so I could leave this place and never come back. But fate had other plans. By sheer accident, I stumbled upon Shen Nunu's secret. She panicked, and soon after, the accident targeting my brother's car happened. She accused me of tampering with it, of trying to kill both her and my brother. That day, all I remembered was the deep disappointment in my parents' and brother's eyes, and the triumphant smile on Shen Nunu's lips. I didn't even have the chance to say a single word before everything went black.
When I woke up, I was already in this so-called hell. The judge told me I had died of sudden heart failure. Holding a file, he pronounced my sentence coldly. Out of jealousy, I had repeatedly harmed the fake heiress. My crimes were unforgivable. My punishment? Eternal flogging. I refused to accept it and tried to defend myself, but he cut me off mercilessly. In the underworld, all is seen clearly. Your sins are already decided. No argument is permitted. I was dragged into a prison. Beyond the iron bars, molten lava surged endlessly. Countless damned souls writhed within it, wailing in agony. Their screams echoed day and night, grinding away every ounce of resistance in me. From then on, at regular intervals, I was bound to a rack and whipped. Each strike tore into my flesh. But something was wrong. I was supposed to be dead, yet the pain felt real. I could feel hunger. I grew sleepy. I still needed to eat 3 meals a day. When I questioned it, the judge replied coldly, "Because my sins were too great, my body would not decay, nor would my senses fade, so that I could remain conscious and endure every bit of pain as penance." But what sin had I committed? I didn't know. As the days of torment stretched on, as the endless wailing filled my ears, my grievance and unwillingness were slowly worn away. Just let it be, I told myself. When I was alive, arguing was useless. Now in hell, it was just as useless. I grew numb, hollow. I even began to wonder, was I truly guilty of something unforgivable? Until I saw the comments. All the doubts I had ignored suddenly connected. If I was dead, why did I still need to eat? Why did the lava occasionally glitch? Why did the screams repeat in loops? The truth hit me all at once. This so-called hell was fake. The lava was nothing but a 3D projection. The screams were pre-recorded audio. Everything, from beginning to end, was an elaborately staged deception. Tainted soul Shenwai Sha, will you refuse this chance to visit your family in a dream? The warden's voice snapped me back to reality. He stared at me, anticipation flickering in his eyes. The comments exploded again. Her father's already furious. He said if she refuses this time, he'll disown her completely. Cruel parents, sending their own daughter to a place like this. They think she's just here to repent. They have no idea about the torture. My heart tightened. So that was it. The clean clothes, the staged appearances, all for those rare visits. And lately, those visits had become fewer. The Shen family was forgetting me. Shen Nuanhua's plan was about to succeed. Seeing my silence, the warden revealed a sinister smile. "If you don't wish to go, then forget it." "I do!" I screamed with all my strength before he could finish. My voice was hoarse, weak, trembling with just the right amount of fragility. I just couldn't speak. The pain was too much."
Then, while the Shin family watched, I suddenly tore off the robe draped over me. The black fabric slipped away. Beneath it, a thin white camisole, soaked in blood. Bruises, burns, lash marks layered upon each other, covering my shoulders and arms. Dense, brutal, like demonic engravings carved into flesh. Every inch of my skin silently exposed the truth of this hell. The comments exploded instantly. Shock rippled through the other side of the screen. My mother's face turned pale with horror, but Shin No reacted just as I expected. Her eyes reddened instantly. I don't know, maybe my sister refused to repent, so she was punished. And just like that, my parents' expressions softened again. Their gaze toward me turned cold once more. I looked at the comments and sneered inwardly. Of course, that was exactly how it would go. Before, I had tried to fight her with truth, and I lost completely. Now, I finally understood.
The Shin family never wanted the truth. They wanted someone weak, someone pitiful, someone they could protect and control. Shin Noa had played that role perfectly, so now I would take it from her. I lifted my head, tears shimmering in my eyes as I looked at the warden. "Sir, before I go, may I ask for something? My wounds, they hurt so much. Is there any pain medicine in the underworld? I don't want my family to notice anything strange. I'd be even more afraid if they saw these injuries. They'd worry." The warden froze. "Pain medicine? There is no such thing here." I lowered my gaze at once, revealing a faint, broken smile. "I see. I was asking too much." Then, in a soft murmur, just loud enough to be recorded, "Even if they see, Noa will say I deserve it. They always believe her. They probably won't worry about me." I didn't cry out, but quiet despair was far more devastating than any scream. The comments erupted again. "She guessed exactly what the fake heiress said. That means she's been framed like this countless times. Look at the Shin family. They're starting to doubt her." I lifted my head again. This time, the despair in my eyes had vanished. What remained was a pure, fragile hope, like a frightened fawn. "Then, may I go now? Since I died, this is my first time seeing them." The warden's expression turned complicated. At last, he nodded. "Follow me." He led me into a dark room. Within the drifting mist, countless particles of light gathered and rose. Slowly, they formed into 4 faint, glowing silhouettes. The scene was eerily convincing. The comments buzzed with excitement. "That 3D projection tech is insane. Must have cost a fortune." Of course, dark web livestream donations are huge. The Shin family is wearing 3D sensory devices too. Both sides are being played. As the mist faded, the figures became clear. My parents, my brother, and Shin Noa. After so long, we met again. My brother, Shin Nanjo, still looked at me with the same cold disdain. But on my parents' faces, for the first time, there was a trace of worry.
Chapter 2. It was clear. The sight of my body covered in brutal wounds had shaken them. Even now it lingered. And Shen Nuonwo truly lived up to her title as a best actress. The moment she saw me, her eyes reddened instantly. She threw her arms wide open and rushed toward me, sobbing, "Sister, I've missed you so much. I can't believe I finally get to see you in a dream." Her performance was flawless, as if we were the closest sisters in the world. But I simply stepped aside, effortlessly avoiding her embrace. A flicker of smug satisfaction flashed across Shen Wunwo's face, just as expected, as if I had once again fallen neatly into the trap she had laid. The next second, her eyes brimmed with tears as she looked at me in grievance. "Sister, after all this time, do you still hate me? I've already forgiven everything you did to hurt me, but I never thought you still couldn't forgive me." Her words were calculated. On one hand, she reinforced my supposed guilt, painting me as someone who refused to repent. On the other, she deliberately brought up the past, baiting me, waiting for me to explode in anger like before. And the Shen family hated nothing more than my uncivilized temper. Shen Nuonwo curled her lips slightly, ready to enjoy the show. But I didn't react. Instead, I raised a finger and gently pressed it against the wound on my shoulder. When I pulled it away, my fingertip was smeared with fresh blood, a wound I had deliberately reopened along the way. My voice was soft, laced with quiet sorrow. "Nuonwo, why would you think that of me? I just didn't want the blood on me to stain your beautiful princess dress." Then, as if suddenly realizing something, I let out a bitter, self-mocking smile. "Ah, look at me. I forgot. I'm already dead. This is just a dream. How could I possibly stain your dress? I'm sorry. I overestimated my own importance." The moment I finished speaking, my parents' expressions changed. Only then did they seem to remember. In my understanding, I was already dead, and they were the ones who had personally sent me to this hell. Mrs. Shen's lips trembled. Mr. Shen's clenched fists slowly loosened. For the first time, an awkward trace of regret surfaced in their eyes. Even Shen Non-jo, who had always been cold, showed the slightest flicker of hesitation. They looked at the wounds covering my body, then thought of how I had just hesitated, afraid to stain Shen Nuonwo's dress. A soul tortured in hell, yet her first instinct upon seeing her family was to lower herself, to please them. That quiet obedience hurt far more than any scream. "Enough." Mr. Shen rarely raised his voice, but now his face darkened as he shot Shen Nuonro a sharp look. "What are you saying? Why Sha is injured like this, and you're still nitpicking over whether she hugged her or not? Have you no sense at all?" Shen Nuonwo's face turned pale. In this war between us, this was the first time Mr. Shen had taken my side.
The comments exploded again. What the hell? Shen Huaisha changed her strategy. She used to argue head-on. When did she get this smart? The fake heiress is stunned. She relied on acting pitiful before, but now she's completely outclassed. How could she win? Huaisha looks like a literal tortured soul. She turned hell into her stage. This is insane. I watched Shen Nuono's stunned expression and smiled inwardly. The moment had come. I pressed forward, imitating her old tone, weak, fragile, yet every word piercing like a needle. Please don't blame my sister. It's all my fault. I was just so happy to see everyone that I forgot I'm already dead. My sister doesn't mind this filthy soul of mine. She even wanted to hug me. I should be grateful. Every sentence sounded like I was defending her, but every word reminded them who had turned me into a soul in hell. Mrs. Shen's heart finally broke. She grabbed Mr. Shen's arm, sobbing uncontrollably. "We can't leave Huaisha there anymore. Look at what they've done to her. Those wounds. Quick, tell them to let her out." The room froze. Let her out. Those 3 words struck like lightning, exposing the hidden truth. Mr. Shen's expression shifted rapidly as he stared at me, as if reassessing whether I had truly become obedient. Meanwhile, Shen Nanzhou pulled Shen Nuono into his arms, focusing entirely on comforting her. My heart tightened. Not enough. The timing still wasn't right. I needed one more spark, one that would burn away their last defenses. I blinked in confusion, pretending not to understand. Reaching out, I tried, futilely, to wipe Mrs. Shen's tears from her 3D projection. "Mom, don't be like this. I know you only said that because you're upset. I'm already dead. How could I possibly leave hell? The dead can't come back to life." I forced a smile, more painful than crying. "Don't worry, I'm really fine. It's just, every few days I get whipped a little. You get used to it. Before I came back to the Shen family, I was beaten often too. These injuries are nothing to me." Mr. and Mrs. Shen froze. "Beaten? How was that possible? Didn't Nuono say you were living well before?" Of course she had. Back then, to protect Shen Nuono's feelings, they had sent her to bring me home. They called it bonding. In truth, they simply didn't want to upset the daughter they had raised. Shen Nuono completed her mission smoothly. She's doing very well. And I, stubborn and naive, never tried to play the victim.
I even believed they must have already investigated my past. How foolish. All their attention had always been on Shen Nuono. When had they ever cared about the 16 years I spent struggling in the mud? Shen Nuono's face turned deathly pale. She was about to argue, but I cut in first, in an even more understanding tone.
Please don't blame my sister. She was probably afraid you'd think badly of her biological parents, so she hid it. I smiled gently, resilient, considerate. Besides, I'm used to suffering. Being beaten is nothing. If it were someone like my sister, raised in comfort, even one lash, I can't imagine how heartbroken you would be. It's a good thing I took all of that in her place. Every word defended her. Every word exposed her. Mr. Shen's suspicion melted into silent pain. Mrs. Shen wept soundlessly. Only Shen Nanzhou remained stubborn. He frowned and cut me off sharply. Enough! Why bring up the past? Her biological parents being trash has nothing to do with Nuonuo. Stop talking like that. Seizing the moment, Shen Nuonuo burst into tears again. Sister, you're already in hell. Why are you still trying to frame me? When I went to pick you up, you were clearly fine. She blinked innocently. Are you still blaming me for taking the family's love? What do you want me to do before you'll forgive me? If I could, I'd rather die in your place. She knew exactly where to strike, and sure enough, after her words, a flicker of doubt returned to my parents' eyes, as if they were remembering the hopeless, incorrigible girl I used to be.
Chapter 3. Instinctively, they steadied Shen Nuonuo, who looked like she could barely stand, and comforted her. Nuonuo, don't say nonsense. How could any of this be your fault? Back then, when she had come to pick me up, only the two of us and her adoptive parents had been present. As long as she insisted she knew nothing, she could wash her hands of everything. I gave a bleak smile and shook my head. Nuonuo, if I were still alive, maybe I would still fight with you. But now that I'm dead, what's the point of competing anymore? I looked at her, my gaze utterly sincere. Little sister, I don't blame you anymore for what you did to me. But in the future, I won't be here anymore. Only you and our brother will be by Mom and Dad's side. So please, don't keep harming others like you used to. Still talking nonsense? Before I could finish, Shen Nanzhou exploded. Shen Huaisha, you were the one who harmed Nuonuo again and again. You pushed her downstairs, slipped her laxatives, even hired thugs to hurt her. She tolerated everything and never held it against you. And now that you're in hell, you're still trying to drag her down with you? Don't even dream about it. Shen Nuonuo immediately shrank into his arms, looking both aggrieved and touched. As for me, I simply listened quietly. Only after he finished did I sigh softly. Brother, of course I remember everything you just said, and in my room there are surveillance recordings that can prove my innocence. I paused, then slowly lifted my gaze, letting it sweep across each of them, before finally resting on Shen Nuonuo's panicked face. Actually, there's a hidden camera inside the teddy bear at the head of my bed. Everything you mentioned, the full truth has been recorded. You just need to go back and watch it to know who's lying. Shen Nuonuo's face drained of all color. Her eyes widened in terror. More than once she had flaunted her schemes in my room, openly admitting how she framed me. Had it really all been recorded? She completely lost her composure. You're lying! If you had footage, you'd have shown it long ago. Why wait until now? I sighed helplessly, looking at her piteously. When I was alive, I always thought family matters shouldn't be exposed to outsiders. So every time you framed me, I didn't show the evidence. I didn't want Mom, Dad, or our brother to be caught in the middle. But now I'm dead. The dead in hell don't dare lie, or they'll be thrown into lava and burned alive. So I'm sorry, little sister. I can't keep covering for you anymore.
You still dare argue? Shen Nanzhou was furious. Fine, I'll end this dream right now and go check. If you're lying, then rot in hell forever. Don't ever think about seeing us again. All right. I showed no trace of panic. Calmly, I began reciting a cloud account and password.
But before I could finish, Shen Nuanhua completely broke down. Don't go check, she suddenly screamed, clutching Shen Nanzhou's leg. Brother, don't look. I was just too afraid of losing you all. That cry was no different from a confession. Everyone froze. The comments exploded. Holy shit, she just confessed? Of course she did. She didn't dare gamble. Better to admit it and play the I did it out of love card than get exposed completely. And the Shen family always softens when she cries. This move never fails. Plus, they think Huaisha believes she's dead. Why would a dead person lie? I watched Shen Nuanhua collapse without the slightest ripple in my heart. What she didn't know was those surveillance recordings didn't exist at all. There was a hidden camera in the teddy bear, but I had never activated it. Everything I said was just a psychological trap. Fortunately, her guilty conscience did the rest, and my identity as a dead person made it all the more convincing. One push, and she confessed everything herself. Shen Nanzhou stared at her in disbelief, his voice trembling. Nuanhua, what do you mean? With the truth exposed, Shen Nuanhua's defenses completely collapsed. Her 3D projection fell to its knees. Clutching my parents' legs, she cried hysterically, Mom, Dad, Brother, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I just loved you all too much. I was afraid you wouldn't want me anymore after she came back, so I lost control. Mr. and Mrs. Shen looked utterly shaken. For the first time, their eyes were filled with disappointment and unfamiliarity. They exchanged glances, faces heavy with conflict. After a long silence, Mr. Shen finally spoke. If Huaisha was wronged, then perhaps we should bring her home. My heart leapt to my throat. Had I succeeded? Were they finally going to let me out of this hell? But just as he was about to reveal the truth, No! Shen Nanzhou cut him off sharply. He pulled Shen Nuanhua, who was on the verge of fainting, into his arms protectively. Mom, Dad, Nuanhua, she's pregnant with my child. Her emotions can't take any more stress. Right now, if you bring back the person she fears the most, are you trying to push her and your grandchild into a corner? The words struck like thunder. Even the comments were stunned. What the hell? Incest? She hooked up with him to secure her place in the family. The Shen family values their son the most. This changes everything. Now she's not just the adopted daughter, but the future daughter-in-law with a grandchild as leverage. Huaisha's chances of going home dropped to 0. My heart trembled, but my face quickly shifted into deeper confusion. I couldn't panic. The performance had to continue. Go home? I lifted my eyes innocently, looking at each of them. What do you mean, go home? I'm just a soul. How could I possibly go home? I had to remain, a completely unaware victim, guide them step by step until they revealed the truth themselves. Mr. and Mrs. Shen exchanged a glance. Their eyes flickered between Shen Nuanhua's stomach and me. After a long pause, Mrs. Shen finally spoke stiffly. At first, we planned to bring your ashes home, but now that Nuanhua is pregnant, it might bring bad luck. Mr. Shen nodded immediately. Huaisha, the dead are gone. Let bygones be bygones. Nuanhua made mistakes, but your temper in the past was also too harsh. In a way, you weren't entirely blameless either. Let's do this. After Nuanhua gives birth, we'll bring your ashes home. Even now, they were still wrapping everything in lies, even when the truth was clear, even when my innocence had been proven. For the sake of their precious son and their unborn grandchild, I was still the one abandoned. I should have felt cold, but my heart had long since frozen, so frozen that even now it didn't stir. The curtain hadn't fallen yet, and I knew if I missed this chance, I might never survive. So I had no time for self-pity. I simply looked at them and calmly asked, How can you be so sure that the child she's carrying is really my brother's?" Shen Nonhua froze instantly. Chapter 4. She remembered. That secret, the one I had accidentally uncovered, the one she had been willing to push me to my death to conceal. Suddenly, she clutched her stomach and screamed in pain. "It hurts! It hurts so much! Brother, quick, take me to the hospital!" As she spoke, she reached out, trying to rip the 3D sensory device off Shen Nanzu. She was trying to forcibly cut off the connection. The Shen family panicked, rushing forward to support her. The projection flickered, on the verge of collapsing. At that exact moment, I shouted at the top of my lungs, "The day before I died, I saw her in bed with another man!" Boom! Before I could finish, the signal was cut. Silence fell, heavy, suffocating. I collapsed onto the ground, utterly drained, cold sweat soaking through my back. Had I failed? The comments erupted again. "Well, that's it. Why Xia's done for. The fake heiress already messaged the director. She wants her dealt with immediately. This hell is on a deserted island. Someone dies here, and not even a ripple is noticed. By the time the Shen family tries to contact her again, there won't even be a body left. The dark web show is about to begin. What kind of torture will they use this time?" My fear peaked. So this was how it would end? But then, the particles of light before me began to gather again, rising, reforming. The comments gasped. "Wait! Shen Nanzu put the device back on himself! He heard it! He definitely heard her last sentence!" Light and shadow intertwined, and then his face appeared, twisted with rage. His gaze locked onto me like he wanted to devour me whole. "What you just said, is it true?" I held firmly to my role. "Brother, I'm already dead. Why would I need to lie? It's because I discovered her secret that she staged that car accident to frame me and make all of you hate me." His expression darkened further. Clearly, he remembered. It was precisely because of that accident that Shen Nuano insisted on sending me here for discipline. Now it seemed she simply wanted to silence me forever. From the other end, Shen Nuano's hysterical cries rang out. "She's lying! Brother, you have to believe me! She's framing me!" But Shen Nanzu roared back. "Believe you? You insisted she was lying earlier, too. What happened then? That was all your own doing. She's a soul. Why would she frame you?" He suddenly turned back to me, his eyes bloodshot. "Shen Huaixia, what else did you see that day? Who was that man? Tell me everything, not a single word left." See? When it had nothing to do with him, he could always be generous at others' expense. But the moment it touched him, that so-called tolerance vanished instantly.
At that moment, my parents reappeared as well. Their faces carried anger, worry, and a gravity I had never seen before. Shen Duanhua knelt on the ground, trembling violently. She had realized there was no way out. "My stomach hurts. Take me to the hospital first." She was still trying to divert attention. "If it hurts, endure it." Shen Nanzhou's tone had completely changed. He grabbed her arm, eyes blazing. "Of all times, you choose now to be in pain? Do you think I'm an idiot?" The parents hesitated, but seeing their son like this, they fell silent. All eyes turned to me, waiting. I knew, at last, I held the bargaining chip. I lowered my gaze slightly, speaking softly. "I remember that man was a rich young master.
His surname was Wang. Then I paused deliberately, sighing as if conflicted. Forget it. I shouldn't say more. Seeing how angry brother is, what if it hurts my sister and the baby? A bitter smile curved my lips. Besides, I'm already dead. I shouldn't interfere in the affairs of the living. Dead, my ass, Shen Nanzhou snapped, completely losing patience. In his urgency, he blurted out the truth. You're not dead at all. This isn't hell either. It was Shen Duandua. She's the one who suggested sending you here for discipline. So why are you still covering for her? My eyes widened suddenly. As if struck by unbearable shock, I staggered back. Mom, Dad, is what brother said true? Mrs. Shen turned her face away, avoiding my gaze. Mr. Shen cleared his throat, putting on a righteous tone. Huaisha, hardship builds character. We sent you here to temper your personality. Look at you now. You've become much more obedient. All we did was for your own good. At those words, a wave of nausea rose in my throat. Shen Nanzhou had lost all patience. Enough nonsense. Tell me, who was that man? I trembled violently, wrapping my arms around me, tears streaming down. I don't dare say. I looked at Shen Duandua in terror, like a frightened bird. If she could send me here, then she must have connections. If I say it, she might make sure I never leave. Then I turned desperately to them. Dad, Mom, brother, I'm begging you. Please have her let me out first. I really can't take this place anymore. If you let me go, I'll do whatever you say. Weakness, submission, a direct negotiation. Did you hear that? Shen Nanzhou roared at Shen Duandua. Contact them immediately. Get her out. Mr. and Mrs. Shen also panicked, scolding her harshly. You vicious girl, your sister is already like this. Do you still want to lock her here forever?
How familiar those words sounded. They used to say them. To me. Shen Nunu shook her head frantically, sobbing. I can't. This place, once you're in, you can't leave. What? Mrs. Shen's voice turned shrill. Then how could you send your sister there in the first place, you heartless creature? I didn't know at first, Shen Nunu cried desperately. He didn't tell me that. He said it was just a set on a deserted island, something called Truman's Brothel, used to tame a disobedient female scholar. There were other sets, too. Truman's Harem, Truman's Hell. Only later did I find out the island is controlled by dark web investors. Once someone is sent here, there's no way out. That he? Shen Nanzhou's voice turned sharp. Is he the man you were sleeping with? Mr. and Mrs. Shen flared up as well. Are you making excuses to cover your shame? The comments mocked mercilessly. This family is so naive. It's not a place you enter and leave freely. She was only kept alive because the dark web wanted to watch the sisters fight. Now the show's over, she's useless, and useless people are discarded. My heart sank with every passing comment, falling deeper, colder. Had all my struggle, all my calculations, been meaningless? Was death still inevitable? There had to be a way. There had to be, right? I lunged forward instinctively, trying to grab Shen Nunuo's ejection, but my hand passed through empty light, hopeless. Crack! Suddenly, all projections shattered at once.
Chapter 5. The entire world fell into a suffocating, deathly silence. Only my ragged breathing remained, and the frantic pounding of my heart, like a drum beating wildly in my chest. Then, click! A cold beam of light shot down from above, illuminating me. From the darkness came a series of eerie, excited laughs. "Ha ha ha! Finally, we can begin! After all that acting, I've been itching to move. Hurry up! Hang her! I can't wait anymore!" The heavy doors burst open. The so-called hell wardens I saw every day, those playing ox-headed demons, horse-faced guards, black and white impermanents, flooded in. Step by step, they approached. Rough hands yanked me up from the ground and bound me tightly to the cold gallows. Fear wrapped around my throat like an invisible hand. I looked at them, those so-called messengers of hell who had always seemed so imposing. They smiled. Slowly they removed their masks, revealing human faces, twisted with excitement. Humans were far more terrifying than demons. This place was hell on earth. "Little beauty, don't be afraid. We'll take our time and have fun." One man caressed my face, his gaze filthy and revolting. "I guarantee you'll experience punishments even more thrilling than real hell." They shouted in excitement, adjusting the noose. Just as the rope was about to tighten around my neck, boom! A deafening explosion tore through the room. The cell door was blasted open from the outside. A squad of heavily armed special forces stormed in like gods descending from the sky. "Don't move! Police!" Flashbangs and gunfire erupted instantly, echoing through the space. The sudden turn left me completely stunned, and in my daze, those floating comments appeared before my eyes again. "Holy shit! Something huge just went down next door." The two female leads from Truman's brothel and Truman's harem teamed up and brought special forces onto the island. They seized the island's control center, saw the live stream from the hell set, and immediately sent people to rescue her. The fake heiress's lover got caught too. Not only was he involved with her, he also imprisoned a female PhD for that Truman brothel game, and she turned the tables on him. All the sets on the island are evacuating now. This whole place is getting wiped out. The rope was cut. I was taken down from the gallows. Under the escort of the special forces, I walked step by step out of the hell that had imprisoned me for so long. I pushed open the final door. Blinding daylight flooded in. Tears streamed down my face instantly. I greedily breathed in the salty sea air, felt the warmth of sunlight on my skin. I was alive. It felt overwhelmingly real. In the distance, sunlight danced across the deep blue ocean. The gates of hell had closed behind me, but the judgment of the human world had only just begun.
The fall of Truman Island became a global sensation. Countless imprisoned victims were finally brought back into the light. When the police were registering my information, they asked routinely, "Contact details of your family? We'll notify them to pick you up." I shook my head calmly. "I don't have a family. They were the ones who sent me here." The young officer fell silent. I asked him softly, "What's today's date?" He told me. I smiled, but tears slipped out uncontrollably. So today was my 18th birthday. From this day on, I no longer needed a guardian, and I no longer needed that so-called family. Instead of going home, I made a request to the police. I wanted to sue my biological parents, my brother, and Shen Nuo. Under the law, they had deceived and sent me, still a minor at the time, to this island controlled by a criminal organization, even paying a large sum for it. They knowingly allowed me to suffer abuse and life-threatening danger. This went far beyond abandonment.
It constituted intentional injury and unlawful detention as accomplices. As for Shen Nuonwo, the mastermind, her crime was even severe. Half a month later, I accepted an exclusive interview with the nation's most watched television network. On the day of the live broadcast, my parents and Shen Nanzhou came. They looked haggard, stripped of all their former glory. The moment the program began, they broke down crying. For the first time, they lowered their proud heads. "Huaxia, we were wrong. We were blind. We misjudged Shen Nuonwo. We're family. How could there be hatred that can't be forgiven? Please, please forgive us." "Xia, it's my fault. I'm a bastard. You can hit me, curse me, anything. Just withdraw the lawsuit, and I'll make it up to you however you want." They cried bitterly. Their remorse looked so sincere. Their acting was impeccable. But unfortunately, I was no longer the little girl who once begged for their love. I looked at them quietly, waited until their cries faded. Then I smiled and asked the host, "Do you know what hell looks like?" He froze. I turned to the camera and spoke slowly. "Real hell isn't 3D lava. It isn't masked demons. Real hell is when the people closest to you use your blood and flesh to raise a wolf that isn't even their own, leaving you in despair beyond saving. It's when you're covered in wounds, yet they only care whether you've learned to wag your tail. It's when they push you into the abyss and still tell you it's for your own good." My gaze swept over their pale, regretful faces. If it were just a lack of love, I would have left. But you wanted me dead. My expression was calm, but cold. "So I won't forgive you. Never. I only hope that one day you'll personally step into the hell I lived in and experience for yourselves what refinement through suffering truly means."
The broadcast exploded across the internet. The Shen family stock collapsed overnight. Limit down, suspension, bankruptcy. They fell from the top into the mud. Once a powerful elite family, now reduced to rats, scorned by all. As for Shen Nuonwo, her fate was even more dramatic. Shen Nanzhou forced her to undergo an amniocentesis test. The result? Absurd. The child was truly his, but the invasive procedure caused a miscarriage. The once inseparable siblings became bitter enemies, consumed by hatred. Justice did not stay silent. In the end, Shen Nuonwo, as mastermind, was sentenced to life imprisonment. Shen Nanzhou, an accomplice turned co-perpetrator, received 20 years in prison. My biological parents were sentenced to 15 years for aggravated intentional injury. They had sent me to hell with their own hands, and now they tasted the consequences forged by the law. As for one of the originators of it all, Shen Nuonwo's lover, the wealthy heir Wang Ziyu, as an investor of Truman Island and guilty of multiple crimes, including unlawful detention, rape, and intentional murder, he was sentenced to death. At last, everything settled. With the enormous compensation I received, I returned to school alone. Sat once again in a senior year classroom. Sunlight streamed through the window, falling across my exam paper. I was 18. My life was finally my own. I knew the scars would never fully fade. The nightmares might still return in the quiet of night, but the gates of hell had closed behind me forever. And carrying all those scars, I would walk toward the light, step by step, into a future that belonged to me.
Hey there! If you enjoy our audio content, don't forget to hit that like button and share this video with your friends. Most importantly, click subscribe and ring the bell to stay updated with everything Zuzu Audio. Support the channel and join our community today.